All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's education hour on panel management and survey analytics. I have on the line Esther Lavielle and John Johnson, who are more than happy to present to you today. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Esther, and after today's presentation, we will address any questions you have. Just answer them, ask them in the questions panel of GoToWebinar, and we'll address them following the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Hi, everybody, and welcome to our Education Hour. This is a 1-hour monthly overview of tips and tools to make the usage of survey analytics more efficient and even fun to use to meet your research goals. In these sessions, we usually will debut some new products and services that is now available to current clients. It's a great way to review all of the enhancements and see how we set these things up in our system. And most of these things are available to all of the existing licenses that are out there. So all clients are welcome. If you are not able to attend these sessions, that's no problem. You can always sign up for them. If you can't make it, we'll be able to send you a copy of the recording and a copy of the slides afterwards. So in our education hour this month, we are going to be doing something a little bit different than we've done before, and it's a Q&A session on our panel management tool. Earlier this month, we sent out a survey asking our clients, regardless of their experience of using our panel management tool, any burning questions that they have. We've been noticing that a lot of our clients have been transitioning to include a panel management system to their existing license with us, and a lot of support questions have been coming through to the customer success management team as well as support. And we thought it would be a really great idea to highlight this month and address some burning questions that people may or may not have and share it with all of our clients. And with us here, we have John Johnson, who is our subject matter expert on our panel management tool. How are you doing today, John?
I'm doing good, and hello to everyone who's out there in the online space and who's taken the time to join us today.
Great. So let's go ahead and get started. So, of course, if you've got questions, we've collected all those, and we have some answers for you today. On our agenda, we're going to break down the following. We're going to be talking about the cost benefits of creating and managing your own panel, and then we're going to do Q&A sessions on panel creation, panel editing, rewards and incentives, panel development strategies, panel analysis, and we'll also talk about consulting and ramp-up programs that we have available through Survey Analytics. And John will be doing a demonstration that will address all of the questions that you have at the very end. And of course, if there's any questions that you have, feel free to post those into the GoToMeeting control panel, or you can contact your customer success manager afterwards, and we'll be happy to answer those privately if you need. So, did you know that all licenses do come with access to build one customized panel and host up to 500 panelists? So, if you want to get started today, you can. If you require more than 500 panelists, you'll just need to speak to your dedicated customer success manager to get a quote and create a ramp-up program. The panel can be used for online surveys and also for mobile market research projects. So you're not limited to just doing online surveys and use all the capabilities that the panel has for online. You can take it out into the field and use it for mobile as well. And that, of course, is a picture of all the capabilities that we can do with the panel. Cost benefits of the panel. This question came up a lot from the survey that we sent out. How does the benefit of using a panel solution compare with other services that might do the recruiting and programming all together? And basically, we just need to weigh, the benefits of doing it yourself in-house versus outsourcing it. And the cost benefits of the panel, straight away is that you will save money on purchasing third-party sample. You'll also have greater control over the quality of the respondents. by managing and creating a strategy for the three key things that is important in creating a successful panel, which is a recruitment strategy, an engagement strategy, and of course, a maintenance strategy. Make sure to spend time to do those things, and you'll make sure, and then you'll be able to reap the benefits of having a good panel. It will also allow you to enhance any current customer, social media customer interaction, or client interaction. So that means if you have people providing you feedback about your products and services on LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook, you can then invite them and ask them some further feedback questions and add some um, quantitative questions that they might be interested in engaging in. And also, if they are some loyal customers, you'll be able to show your appreciation to them by offering incentives to giving their feedback. Also, an additional benefit of using a panel is that you'll be able to get quicker responses, and as a result, you'll be able to make quicker decisions on your end. Now, we understand that not all customers or all clients are built to make quick decisions right away, but when you are in a situation where you do need to do quick pulse surveys and continually interact with your customer base or your client base, then having a panel is just way more efficient than having to outsource that. It's more cost effective because then you have a current list of panelists that you can always go in and filter and grab what you need versus having to outsource and wait. That time to wait could result in opportunities missed. And this is interesting. The percentage of research with panel is greater than without. And that came from our survey that we sent to all of our clients earlier. And we asked those who are currently using the panel management tool, please allocate 100 points on how much you use your panel with your research projects. And you can see the breakdown, surveys using the panels at about 45%, surveys without the panels at about 29-30%, and then surveys with the panel and some other multi-deployment strategies at about 25%. So you can see that once you adopt a panel, it is going to really influence how you get your responses. Are you going to be are you still going to be getting sample from outside, or if you're going to be using the panel more. Sometimes there is no substitutes in which you do need to go use a sample provider in some cases, but for the majority of those who are using it, it becomes a huge resource for people. And so you can see already that it does provide and it does change the way you do your research projects. So let's go ahead and get started on our first Q&A session with John. So let's go ahead and start with panel creation here. So John, what is the best and fastest way to build a panel?
Well, that's a good question. I think what you want to do is always go in with a plan. And that's a plan from design to deployment, and know what you wish to achieve in each area, and to go a little bit deeper into that, in terms of the design. For the customer portal that we offer in the member portal, what do you want that to look like? What do you want the feel to be? And have your design elements and your brand elements in place. And in terms of your deployment and just your overall engagement strategy, have an idea of what you look to do for that year, whether it's 1 to 2 to 3 or more surveys. If you're going to be doing quick polls, the type of research and length of surveys that you may be engaging with your community members. You want to have an outline of that. I would even go as far as just having a little 1 to 2 page document that just kind of your strategic guide for that year in terms of your community.
That sounds good, John. Excuse me. And for those who have already set up a panel, we've gotten this question. We've already set up, are we set up properly at each step? can survey analytics help us to understand what we're doing that can be improved?
Okay, well, yeah, absolutely. I think, to me, I think that's the great part about survey analytics is that we have a great customer success team, and it's very important that you interface with them, especially when creating a community. Initially, you're probably going to go through some training uh, about the basic setup, and then dive in yourself and do some of the initial setup. But I think it's highly important that you regroup after that with your customer success manager and really do an audit of your panel in terms of the setup and in terms of your strategic plan for the year, so that we can definitely help give you some additional input and maybe point out some things that can help enhance the experience and efficiency for you overall.
That's good, John. Is there like a checklist of any kind that people can do or can follow?
I'm glad you brought that up because that is a feature that we have roadmapped. There's going to be a kind of a little checklist inside of the user interface for the administrators of the community, so that they know that they've hit some of the key points or other things that they can should consider when walking through the tool and setting it up.
Okay, great, John. And of course, our last question here, what is the time investment in creating a panel?
Okay. Really, the upfront time is minimal. However, you have it's the ongoing engaged panel. If you want it to be ongoing and have a highly engaged panel, it's important that you allocate time around your engagement and deployment strategy. Obviously, the setup of a community can be fairly simple, from even the design of it, getting members imported, and even deploying out your first survey. But the continue time effort would be continue to communicate with these members. And again, if you have a nice calendar and a strategy set up, you know when you're going to send out the next survey, and our system makes it really easy to even send non-survey related communications, just to say hi to everyone, or maybe to convey some particular message, or let them know that another survey is coming soon. So again, spending more time, and when you're running more surveys and you have a highly engaged community that is helping influence your business, and also save your business money, it is going to take, you are going to have to allocate a little bit of time out of your week into managing the community.
So you're saying that the maintenance and management side is probably the most time consuming part versus the creation.
Exactly.
Okay, great. So some panel creation must-dos here. These are just some things that we wanted to highlight to make sure that you are all doing this on your end at one point or another. The first one is, the panel management tool is a DIY tool. So you'll want a dedicated person or team to work on the panel. We have seen a few items here where, if you don't have the resources, we can't get the panel to launch, and as a result, we're not able to, gather the feedback through the panel management system. So it's important to make sure you dedicate a person or a team to work with us to make that happen. And if you don't have that and you would like to have us to do it for you, we can provide that service as well. The next one is to get access to database of potential panelists. So that means that you would need to talk to your database managers, your marketing team, and see if you'll be able to access, existing client lists or customer lists, or see if there's a way to filter those who are interacting with you via social media into a list that they'd be open to being a part of your new panel. So that's another big section. Develop a recruitment and maintenance plan. And as John stated earlier, this definitely is the hardest part, the maintenance, the management side. Recruitment, I feel, especially if you've tapped out your database, that is a very difficult side because you have to do it on an ongoing basis. But it's important to think about it and develop a strategy, a realistic strategy that will work for you. So John's going to talk about the setup and panel for survey analytics.
Yeah, just real quick, I'm gonna go down this list and we'll also review this in the live demo, but you want to set up your recruitment page in your panel portal. If you're recruiting from an external page, then you may have some integration steps to do there. And then you want to determine and set up your panel profile fields. This is demographic information that you want to collect on users, are also used for analytical purpose and deployment purposes as well. If you're using a database that you already have, we're going to upload those panelists. We have the ability to enable an opt-in if needed. So as soon as you upload those members, they'll get a double opt-in email, um, you know, which can also form as a nice introduction email. We also have a welcome email template that you can enable as well. You want to set up a basic rewards program. We definitely want to. We'll talk about more, and you want to consider your incentives and rewards, and then create a test group within the panel. So basically, so that you can quickly send test invitations to yourself or a group of colleagues as well before deploying to your entire community.
Great. Let's talk about panel customization. So John, how much flexibility and creativity do I have for customizing my panel?
Well, that is a good question. You have a lot of flexibility. The way our portal or the way our system is set up, we actually have, of course, templates that you can quickly use and import your own company logo and do some slight changes if that works for you. You can also do things on the recruitment page, etc. But we also allow full access to the CSS template of the community, which is going to allow you to go in there if you have internally a designer, go in, make your graphic elements, mock up the CSS, and make the changes that you need to. And if you don't have that, aboard, you can always come back over to Survey Analytics, and we have an in-house design team who have created many portals on our platform and done lots of things. And you're not locked into just using our design and our platform. You can also take our integration points and put them in on another website that you may currently own or be building as well. So we are very flexible in terms of the panel customization.
Let's go ahead and jump into our next section, which is panel editing. Excuse me. I think this picture is hilarious. I feel like every I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I always feel like all engineers, they kind of look like this after a long day of staring at pages of code. So let's go ahead and get to the first question here. So how do I add more information to a panel from a previous survey, John?
Okay. Well, we have a very easy to use sync feature. Profile sync is what we call it with our panel tool. And I actually recommend using this to many clients, as any previous data, whether it's digital or paper can be imported from a simple Excel file. Again, you're now enriching the knowledge and information that you know about this community member or panelist, and it's going to help you in terms of when you deploy surveys and getting data back quickly, but also from analytical purposes on the back end when you're analyzing the results from those surveys against the information that you may already contain. So I definitely recommend adding information from previous surveys.
Is there a way to add panelist information without needing to create profile fields?
That's a pretty good question. Adding panelist data will require a profile field for proper mapping and the ability to filter, and as the ability to filter. However, note this field can be hidden from a panelist view. So I think this question may come from the concern of, creating a profile field and you don't want users to have access to that information or update that information. And any profile field that you create, you can always make it a private hidden field, which means only you have access to this information, again, for filtering purposes and analytical purposes.
I would like to know more about the possibilities and limitations of updating member profile fields from within a survey.
Okay. Well, today we support the basic question types for updating fields via survey. However, we have roadmap to increase additional support, so more of our question types on the survey side. Actually, the ability to do this and update fields via a survey is very savvy, very efficient, and effective for many users of the panel tool.
And our last question here is, what are my options for editing a panel, especially if I've already deployed the panel, a new project, and noticed an error?
Great, great. I love this question because it sets us up for where we were going to go next. We actually do have a few steps to consider when you've deployed an error. And so, Esther, let's go ahead and go into those.
Some panel editing best practices here. So when you need to make changes to the panel, it's best to make those changes before or after your project is completed, not during, ever. I kind of highlighted that just because if you are trying to make changes during your survey, as you know, it could cause some issues. So I would recommend doing it before or after if you can. Changes that you make to a panel, especially with profile fields and stuff, after a project were deployed, will not be included in the raw data in the Survey Analytics tab, but it will be available in the panel history. And the panel history will have the raw data as well. And John will show you where that is in our demo. John, so if we found an error, what do they need to do?
So if you find an error, you definitely want to close that batch, so that project history, as soon as possible. What that's going to do is close that history and also remove it from the member portal. It's good after you've deployed to go ahead and take a secondary step and send notifications to the panelists via our broadcast email feature and say, hey guys, you may have received a survey invitation in error. We will be sending you another one shortly. Okay, and at this point, you can go in and make the changes that you needed, whether it's you decide to make changes to the survey, or the particular email information that you sent out was incorrect, or the members you deployed to weren't correct. Okay, make those changes, and finally redeploy the survey to the panel.
So you would so you would say that it's better to just close out the project and just start anew.
Correct. Not close the survey, but just close the project history that you've deployed to the panel.
Okay, that's good. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
All right, let's jump into rewards and incentives.
Okay.
So our first question here is, what is the most cost-effective way to incent panel members?
Right. Okay, and I like that reward chart. It reminds me of something that I've done for my daughter at home. So we recommend that you use online currency. Really, it's a hassle-free, and you don't have to run off to your mail carrier or fuss with packaging or shipping charges. You know, using online currency, in which a lot of people are online and they're used to it now, and they love to get an Amazon gift card that they can just use online, Walmart, etc. And it's efficient, it's cost effective. And it's easy to, using our system, setting up a points and reward structure to go ahead and kind of figure out your budget for the year in terms of incentives, and then tap into it that way.
The next question here is, I would really like some tips or pointers on how to maximize the capability of using this part of the system so that it performs to its full potential. In particular, it would be fantastic to see a demonstration on how to automate the rewards.
Great. So in regards to this, later when we show the live demonstration, we'll cover the automated notification system that we have. And I do want to note now, though, that that can be used for both custom rewards and our integrated gift card vendors.
Fantastic. And last question here is, what are industry best practices, non-monetary incentive ideas, and sharing results?
Okay. You know, I think there's a lot of thoughts and theories around this, but if you're a government entity or you do not have a budget, we recommend that maybe you use, you know, your own branded swag to give out, or using gamification methods such as such as badges, in which we have in our system. We are really making emphasis really on gamification, and our first step towards this has been the point system and the badges. So I think there's a lot of creative and different ways really to incentivize a community that is of non-monetary value.
Okay, great. So let's jump into panel deployment strategy questions.
Okay.
Excuse me. Before I deploy my panel, what should I analyze and filter out before sending a new project? I want to reduce redundancy, hit optimal targets, and analyze send times and subjects.
Okay. So one of the best things is to filter by your panel profile fields / demographic fields. Be sure you're sending the survey to those who matter for a particular project. Also send to those whom are engaged, and one way to do that is to send to those who have completed their profile field, which means they care. Lastly, though, I want to note you can exclude those whom have participated in a particular survey, and this will reduce redundancy and also remove those who you would not be a match based on how they responded in a previous survey.
Okay, great. And the next question here is, I would like a variety of deployment options. I don't just want email or Facebook, but be able to customize to the medium that fits my panel.
Okay. Wow, there's so many different ways I could go with that, and I would love to have a conversation with whoever posed this question. But one of the ways we see this going is the way of mobile. We tackle this via a native application that you download, that's downloaded by the community member, and you're now reaching them in their environment. Meanwhile, taking advantage of push notification, passive data collection, and geo-specified surveys. And we do this in two ways. Rather, it's a co-branded app, or we can also do a custom app for you. And lastly, if you have an existing application that you know people are already engaged in and using, we can build in the feedback right into that application using our survey development kit, our SDK.
That sounds great. So last question here is, how do you filter out panel members from an invitation based on their participation in multiple previous projects? For example, the user must have completed a particular previous project but not received an invitation to a second previous project.
That's good. We'll actually cover that in the demonstration as well.
Okay, great. So deployment best practices here. So again, we're just going to highlight some of the things I think everyone should be thinking about at least. So first thing is, if using online, mobile, or paper surveys, make sure to set up a calendar and schedule deployment on multiple platforms on different dates and times. So that means that if you know for a fact that you're going to be doing an online survey, a mobile survey, and paper survey, you may not want to do it all at one time. You may want to stagger that a bit so you have the resources and energy available to focus in if in case you do run into any deployment issues along the way. Doing it all at once could really create a firestorm of issues, and we just don't want that to happen. Next thing is to send a test to your test group to review. We recommend to do this every single time if you can, unless you're 100% sure that your project looks fantastic and is perfect in every way, shape, and form. But of course, not everything is always perfect. It's always good to test everything once before you send it out. And your test group should be people that are going to be very open and honest with the way that you've deployed each of your panel projects. Third thing is to create filters in your panel and review them before the deployment. So what you can do is you can go in and slice and dice your list of panelists, but before even sending it out, you may want to just review them and see if there's any particular names or respondent types or particular profiles that are coming up that you may or may not have anticipated wanting in there. So making sure that your filters are actually grabbing the right people is always a good idea. We do pull them according to the profiles that you want to select for them, but it's always nice just to do a quick check in case there are some human errors of things that you may have missed. Next thing is to deploy batches of 5,000 panelists at a time. And also make sure to use subsampling tool to manage 5K at a time. We recommend to break it down at a very low number of 5,000 because of the fact that, you know, there could be some issues if you run, you know, if you have a panel of over 500,000 people. You may not want to send it all out all at once. You know, not only will it, you know, clog up the system, but, you know, if there are some errors along the way or some things that may have happened, the ability to make changes goes down greatly, and you don't want to use that. You don't want to have the opportunity to be wasted. So putting it out, you know, 5K at a time is always smart. And staggering it out. And once you do that in our system, you know, it doesn't take too long to, you know, till you have to hit a certain number. And the last one, of course, is to schedule reminders immediately after your deployment. This is always good in case you want to make sure to do follow-ups. You can schedule those ahead of time so you don't have to worry about those, and that will help you ensure that you're going to get some good response rates. So let's jump into panel analysis Q&A. So John here, what's first question is, how do you set up and use the panel health dashboard?
Okay, so panel health dashboard, or PHD as I like to call it, it's already set up. PHD currently looks at respondents based on sign up and survey participation, and gives you some quick and rich data. So there's no buttons here to click, no special settings that you need to go in and enable. It's ready to go out the box for you.
How do you read and analyze the health dashboard? What am I supposed to learn from this?
Okay. We can quickly see those who have signed up, verified, and profile completion. And we can do this based on time filtering. As well, we can do this on the survey side, so we can see those who have completed, those who have started and terminated a survey. We also give a brief glimpse of engagement via those who have not responded, to invitations. So if you deployed, we show that in a graph of 1 to 2 to 3 or 5 or more invitations that have been deployed. What's the percentage of the responses there? To kind of roll in from there into your next question, I see there, Esther, is how do you measure and predict the responsiveness of a panel? One of the things is that this panel health dashboard is recent release and is version 1 for us. What that means is we're going to continue to improve this thing, and that really excites me. We are motivated and have roadmap to take this dashboard even further by adding metrics for lifetime attrition, completion rate, participation rate, and incidents. It's going to really get powerful in the future. So right now we're giving you some really rich data to dive into, but we're really going to make you dangerous here soon.
That sounds like fun. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into consulting and panel ramp-up programs.
Okay. So Esther, everyone out there has just been listening to us talk, and hopefully they're getting some valuable information, but let me ask you some questions this time. So first one that's popped up here is, I need help with recruiting into my panel, and I would like to know the cost-effective ways to recruit, or if provided a ramp-up program that allows me to outsource the panel recruitment process.
That's a really good question here. And within Survey Analytics, we do offer a consulting program that allows you to create a strategy with your customer success manager, and also a ramp up program. It is outside of the licensing cost, so it does cost additional, but from within there, we'll be able to pilot the starts of your panel. So if you do need help with recruitment and you want to see different areas, we can help you with doing things like a saturation from existing lists that we might have internally, or we can also look into building out the panel on your behalf with using some of our resources, whether it's our CSS manager and such. And so if you don't have someone on your end taking care of this and you need someone to step in to do that, we offer that program for you.
Nice. Esther, how do you use the developer API to communicate with the panel, and what would be the benefits of that anyway?
Well, the developer API can do so much. I mean, in terms of the integration, as John talked earlier, you can use your own pages and do recruitment and get people inside there, and that is a type of integration. Other things you can also do is if you've collected data inside Survey Analytics and inside the panel, or people are updating their profile fields, we can push that out into your database. And the same thing goes if people are on your website updating their information on their end and you want to have that automatically mapped in Survey Analytics, you can set that up. So instead of having to do it manually and then manually uploading the additional information that is attributed to those profile fields, you can set up and create that communications between our system and your system, so it goes back and forth.
Okay. Oh, what a great question here. So am I able to do an overall strategy discussion with my account manager? And if there are are there notifications of changes to the survey analytics, what are the implications to the user?
That's a really good question here. So one thing is that you are able to discuss the overall strategies with your customer success manager. And that is by, starting out with a panel, especially if you're new or if you're an existing user that is using the panel tool and you need help with maintenance. We can develop with you a strategy and pilot a program that will allow you to see some measurable differences. So one of the things that I wanted to say that John, who's our subject matter expert, he's been able to assist a lot of the clients that he is working with to develop ramp up programs or pilot programs. And what we've noticed is that the most successful ones start off, fairly small. They start off doing groups of 1,000 to 5,000 to 10,000. If they feel more comfortable, then they hit 20, 50, 100, then they go to 500 and plus. So, a panel, you're not going to assume that you're going to jump in and get 500,000 responses right away. It is a building process, and with our consulting and ramp up program that we offer, you can ensure that we can make sure to hit those numbers within a targeted timeline. So let's go ahead and jump into a live demo with John here. I'm going to go ahead and pass him the controls here. And let me know if you've received that.
I have not. If you could try one more time again, please, Esther.
Okay.
There we go. And just confirmation that you are now seeing my screen.
Yes, now I do.
Great. So again, I want to thank everyone out there in the web audience today for joining us. We definitely value and appreciate your time. And I just want to quickly go through just a live demonstration of a lot of what we've talked to today. Here we're in the Survey Analytics platform under the Panels tab. And this is where, when you're first coming in, if you haven't already, you're going to click Create a New Panel. And you're going to want to give that panel an identification. You want to give it a name. And our system's going to create a URL for that panel, which gives it a landing portal. So you'll see here, I'm in my panel that's called the tracker panel, okay? And when I talk about a landing page, you can see here, the tracker community has its own landing page now where you can give out that URL and people can go and find out more information about the community, and they can also decide to opt in and join this community from this standpoint. And this is also where they will go to log in and engage with within their member portal and to see which surveys they have available to them that they've created, as well as if you're using points and rewards, they can see what their current point status is and redeem rewards. So a very robust and powerful web interface that we're giving you within the tool. And you can take advantage of it. If it's a private community and you don't want other people joining, you obviously can disable this. We are definitely the land of enable and disable. So it's totally up to you what you want to use. Okay. So once we've created this, we have a multitude of settings that we can set up, but we can also go in and customize our portal. In the tracker that I'm using in this example, I've enabled one of our mobile responsive themes. So we have a selection of themes that you can quickly select. You save those settings. And if we go here and we reload this page, you can see that those are now reflective. Okay. So once we've really locked down and dived into the look and feel of our community, and obviously in terms of the look and feel, we can go much, much deeper. As I stated early on, we give you full access, as you can see here under global, to the CSS style sheet to go in and make modifications and really customize this to the next level. An example of that would be here, one of our customers, Opinionate, in which they have fully customized their web view and portal of this particular community. And you can see they've offered the ability to quickly connect and join up with Facebook. And now I can go in and see which surveys are available to me. I can see which rewards, once I have points, are available. I can go in and update my profile and also other information on my account. So you can really go really far in the look and feel and the customization. The next thing to think about when creating a community, we're going to go over here under our panelist heading, and we're going to take a look at profile. And you want to set up the profile information that you want to use. You want to collect from users that you may want to import that you already have existing, but also you're going to use this information in terms of who you want to deploy to. So I have a survey that I only want to deploy to males versus females or people in a particular income range, etc. But also all this data will be available to you when you're analyzing the results that come back from that survey. We simply click add new profile field, decide what that profile field is, such as gender. We select the field type, multiple select, single select, date of birth, input selection. For here, we're going to do single select. Okay. And as I mentioned earlier, one of the questions was, do you have to create a profile field? And yes, in terms of for mapping to the database. But again, if you don't want this open or viewable, and this is only for you, you're going to go ahead and click this box for a private hidden field. And we're going to click Save Changes. Okay. So now that we've set up our profile information, so we did the first step one, we got the look and feel going and out there into the world. We set up our profile fields. The next thing to think about is if you're going to be using points and rewards. And if you're going to be doing that, you're going to scroll down to our incentives section, okay? And you're going to go to inventory. And you can see that you can create your reward inventory. And that's simple as clicking add new reward. You can use your own custom rewards. And again, so this is if you're going to send out a check, if you have some other, maybe there's a special shirt, baseball cap or something that has your company brand and logo on it that you're going to send for them getting X amount of points, you can go ahead and add that as a reward type, which they can redeem. And then our system will handle the automation of the notification part. But if you want to be cost effective and you also want to create efficiency, you can use our integrated rewards as well that you see here. Okay. So once you set up your reward inventory, you add items to stock. You do need to fund that reward inventory. You can talk to your customer success manager about that. But I do want to note our notification system. So the notification system will automatically send an email to your panelists once they've clicked redeem. So they'll get this information. You can include a claim code, the steps and instructions in redeeming that. If this is something that you're manually mailing, you can let them know how long this is going to take, etc. The key to this right here is that you also get a copy of this email once they click redeemed as well. So now you know, if you're using our integrated rewards, who's redeemed, and you have a log and a track of this. But if you're doing custom rewards that you have to take care of, you have the information now, and you can go ahead and quickly take care of that. So we've done our look and feel. We've decided our profile fields, and if we're using points and rewards, we've tackled our inventory area. We're going to roll up to panelists again, and we're going to go over to import export. So now we're at the time where we're thinking, who's going to be in this community? So rather we're doing a strategy from scratch, and we're working with someone, or we're working with the SA team to get members into this portal, we'll start letting that happen. Or if you already have a list of people that you would like to import into the tool, you can do via the bulk import of users. And the required field in your Excel or CSV file is going to be email address. But if you have additional information such as their first name and their last name, or if they're coming from another tool and they have a password, make it easy for them and bring that password over as well. But then you can bring in any of those profile fields that we set up that I mentioned, such as in this one I had birthday, zip code, and gender. If I have that information, I can import that now as well, so that as soon as I get these people in here, I can start sending targeted surveys, and I can start analyzing information analyzing this information alongside those survey results. Okay, so we got our members in here. We're working on our recruitment strategy. We already set up our points and rewards. Our profile fields are defined, and our thing is looking rocking. If they go to the website, they like it, it identifies with the brand, they see the information, and they join the community. So now it's time to start our engagement / deployment strategy. So we're going to go down to invitations. We're going to click send, and we're going to select the survey from our survey analytics account. And I do want to note, if you happen to build a community in which people are coming to you to deploy out surveys, and they're basically purchasing a sample from you, we do have the ability for custom survey providers. So the survey does not have to live with survey analytics and able to engage with your community. It's always good to let them know the length of the survey. We want to select our email invitation that we're going to be sending out. If we're using incentives in our points strategy, then we're going to say how many points the survey's worth. We can give points for over quota and as well as terminate. And our next step is when we can really start to define who we want to send this out to. Okay, so again, based on any of my profile fields such as the gender, age, etc. But also we can select to do this by depending on invites. So I think that came up in a question. So we can say that we want to include or exclude based on a previous invite, and we can also select the status on that invite, whether it's completed, pending, viewed, closed, terminated, or over quota. And this can be a selection of a few of these different categories. Okay, so if I only want to send this one out to those who have completed or pending, or exclude those, I can. And I can also select more than one survey that's been sent out. Okay, so very robust in that way. And we even get deeper than that. We can do sign up date, last access date, last invitation, responses to a survey, invitations received, surveys completed, and rewards and points. The sky is really the limit. This is a very robust feature here, and you can always select and click refresh count to see how many people this now gives you to deploy the survey out to. We head over to our next step. We decide if we want to schedule this for immediate delivery or schedule for future delivery. So you can schedule your delivery. Okay. We can enable a subsample selection. So you can see I have 2 people to send this out to right now. I can decide if I only want to send this out to just one of the 2 that meet my criteria. or I can stagger this. So I may decide that I want to start with sending it just to one, see if I get my response back. If not, I can go back in later and send it out to the second person. So we go next step, we do a final review, and we process this for delivery. And we talked about earlier if there was if there was an error, what we need to do, and I said close that batch. Well, what I mean by batch, I mean is that history report. So under invitations, we get a history of that batch or that deployment that we've sent out that we can see right here. That's in progress for 14 seconds ago. If I click into this, I can go in and I can close this project. And so there's that feature right there. As I said, you then go and do a broadcast in an email to communicate with everyone that you'll be sending a follow-up with the new survey that you would like to go out, make your changes, and then go through the process again. Okay. And as I mentioned, I selected the stagger on this. So, all right, I didn't get the response I wanted from that first person, so I'm going to go to deploy to subsample. And you can see I have one person left. I'm going to go ahead and go to that one, select the template that I want to send out, and send that email invitation. So now I have completely sent to those two people. Okay. And another feature that I like to note on this screen is the reminder. We can send our reminder out. We can also schedule our reminders as well. Okay. And just to touch on real quick, lastly, we're rocking and rolling. We had a lot of questions about the health dashboard. So, in our health dashboard, I'm going to pick another sample community that has a little bit more information here. So to make the panel health dashboard a little more attractive for this demonstration, under analytics, we have health dashboard here. So we can see our signups verified and our profile completion. And as I said, we can filter this down by last week, month, quarter, 6 months, or year. And this is our sign up view. This is our survey view. So we can see those who've completed, those who've started, terminated, and those are pending / close. Scroll down, we get the survey status of pending and complete, and then we get total invitations sent, that glimpse I mentioned, total invitations sent, total response count, and then we get our percentage of those not responding to an invitation. Again, looking very forward to version 2 of this as well. So those are some of the quick getting started tips. You can see in all of the few minutes there, I set up a community and deployed a survey. So your customer success manager is going to be right there by your side to help you after you get it set up, do a debrief with you to make sure that you've done all that you needed to get where you want to go in terms of building a community. And then you're ready to start engaging with your community or building up your community. I'm going to pass it back over to you, Esther.
Okay, sounds good. And we're almost done here. We would like to share with you some pricing specials for attendees or people that receive the slides and recording. So of course, to thank you for your time to be with us, because I know that your time is very valuable. We're offering a 10% discount on panel management license for any panels of over 1,000. So if you're interested in taking advantage of that, make sure to talk to your customer success manager for more details and mention to them of this discount, and I'll make sure to verify that you are an attendee or someone who's signed up, and we'd be happy to get you started in the world of panel or continue your world, continue in your world of panel. So again, thank you so much for attending. Gina, I wanted to know if there's a few questions. I know we're close to the hour. Usually these education hours are about 30 to 45 minutes, but it's a little bit longer today, so I figured maybe we can answer maybe 2 questions and
yes.
wrap it up.
Yes. The first question is from Clayton, and he would like to know, is the panel feature optimized for mobile and a mobile browser?
Hey, John, can you answer that?
That is, Yeah, Clayton, that's a great question. And yes, the when you say the panel feature, I assume you're talking about the member portal and the web view of it. Using our templates, those are 100% mobile responsive templates. So that whether you're using a tablet device, a laptop, a desktop, or a smartphone, their experience is going to be highly effective for them.
Great. And then the second question is, do you support international panels?
Esther, you like me to take that one?
Yes.
The answer to that is yes. We 100% support international panels, and we actually welcome them. And we have quite a few users currently and customers today who are actually doing international communities. And to just go a little bit deeper on that particular question, we also have deployed in terms of incentive strategy. We've partnered up with vendors to be able to offer rewards that work internationally as well in terms of online currency.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up today's session. Thank you again, Esther and John, for presenting. If anyone has any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out and ask them at any time. And thank you for attending this month's Education Hour.